Gotta work on that a little bit, but it's coming together. Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new This Routine is Hell album, Howl. This is the latest full-length LP from this Netherlands rock outfit. Recorded, produced by Kurt Ballou of Converge fame, a guy who must be one of my favorite producers of all time, given that there are so many reviews in my back catalog of albums that he produced. And I would say on Howl, Kurt strikes gold once again with these European up-and-comers. Now the band This Routine is Hell might not be extremely well known, and it may seem as if Kurt Ballou working with a guy of his stature would be a huge opportunity for them, but This Routine is Hell goes into this record pretty confident in their sound already. Back in 2010, the band dropped the full-length LP, The Verve Crusade, which featured a lot of hardcore punk stylings, slowed down to a slightly sludgy pace with some very heavy undertones. But it's not like the band was particularly heavy production-wise. It's not like there was a lot of bass and rumble in the mix. The tone of the vocals were pretty average for hardcore, but it was just the clarity and the passion and the directness of the lyrics that really sort of made the vocals stand out for me, which in my opinion is a quality that I love so much about old hardcore punk music, where the lyricist really wanted to make a statement, make a message. On this LP, This Routine is Hell would occasionally speed things up like a hardcore band typically does, but they would go on to their next EP, Repent, Repeat, to indulge in a much heavier and sludgier sound. That was spring of last year. Now with the album Howl, the band's sludgier side is in even fuller effect. But they still do maintain their hardcore punk style, even as they're slowing things down a little bit more. Of course, they still bring plenty of memorable, readable, and very message-heavy lyrics, and the end result on this LP is essentially 12 tracks and 20 minutes of some incredibly glass-smashing, bitter punk rock that I think fans of adrenaline-pumping riffs and grooves and very fed-up lyrics will enjoy. This album kicks things off pretty well with one of the opening tracks on here, Nostalgia, which, to be completely honest, does have a riff, a chord progression, a groove, and the pacing of the vocals on this track as well. All of it reminds me of a recent track from the California hardcore punk band Ceremony, Sick. It's really a dead ringer. Of course, there are some small variations in the riff, and this version is a lot heavier, but I still can't help but love it. The production on this track feels way thicker, way more layered. I'm loving the ominous guitar feedback as well, and instead of a song about being sick, very satirically of a number of things, this track is really a lyrical assault against nostalgia. Nostalgia burns us. It does other things too, according to the lyrics, and there's just this impeccable energy. Even though the band isn't playing that quickly, it almost feels as if they're playing very fast because of just how savage the energy is. This track quickly segues into the next with a little bit of noise, and I love that. I love that this album really has a fantastic flow to it. Really, it's just one song bleeding into the next. And this happens in more ways than one too, like the song Shiver, which really feels like an elongation of the previous track, the title track from this LP, Howl. Now Shiver is a slower track. I wish it was a little bit more eventful, though. There is a great guitar solo on the end of this cut that just wails with passion. As Howl progresses, it just dishes out more and more tracks that feature essential grooves, essential riffs, which are backed up with some very interesting transitions and choruses, really packed and condensed into songs that last about 40 seconds to 2 minutes. Like the song Wrongdoer, which has this just very stiff, head-bashing intro riff, which very quickly and suddenly transitions into this very sinister and gloomy guitar interlude in 3/4. Overall on this LP, I will say there are some unmemorable moments, most notably the 40-second long tracks, which of course don't take a long time, but still aren't that short in comparison with some of the other songs on this album. I guess these songs don't really offer me anything to grab onto. It's like they're here and they're gone without really putting out a riff or a melody that sticks in my head in their very short time span. Especially the untitled track on here, which just is one short feedback piece. Still, it's really the last portion of this LP where I think this album gets incredibly solid. The track I Wake to See the World feels like a cinder block to the head. It feels like a sidewalk face plant with its hard-ass riffs and devilish melodies over the verses. I think the song Asleep has the same qualities as well. I love the slow and sort of patient build of the song Uncommon Ground. A lot of different parts to this track, though I will say it does come off a bit more disjointed than some of the other songs on here. Still, this song highlights to me what is very important about this album, and that's a lyrical theme. It's a theme that many other tracks on here bring up through imagery of burning down towns, breaking fingers from hands which at one time gave one a certain hand of cards, anesthetizing jobs, longing for more than the ordinary. There are just tons and tons of lyrics throughout this album which deal with not accepting what has just been handed to you and either fighting for or destroying what was given to you and trying to rebuild something better, which in my opinion is a pretty strong and inspirational message, even if it is expressed in a pretty angry way on this album. Overall, I feel like this is a well-written, produced, performed, and pretty thrilling hardcore punk album with some strong lyrical themes. There are some songs, a few on here that pale in comparison to others, but really I don't have many complaints at all. I'm feeling a light to decent 8 on this thing. It's not exactly reinventing the wheel, but I do think it's great. If you've given this LP a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? That's it. This review is my opinion. If you don't like it, here's a straw. I want to give a shout out to Paris Hilton. Good job on the Lil Wayne song. The National fans. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Also, Alicia, Bananas, Edom, and the City of Chicago, whose school board voted to close 50 schools. Even Count Chester know that they're not good. Only the strong subscribe. All mistakes were intentional. Anthony Fantano. This routine is hell. Howl. Forever.